started providing immigration training to the corporate employees. So we started first in Bangalore. Again, in next month we have in July in Chennai, Mumbai, and Hyderabad. And month of October and November we're going to do all over India. So we basically want to create the workforce for immigration teams within India.
What you have just shared with us tells us the kind of vision that you have and how much the world has changed and how much we need to learn to be able to be really a global citizen so that we can smoothly move from one point to another without getting caught in the web of immigration related rules of this land or that land. Now you are also providing immigration related training. What does that mean? Because it would vary from country to country, or there are some general specific rules that you may share with them?
We're trying to, right now we're training people on US immigration. Then slowly we're going to transfer that into training on other countries' immigration too. So our focus is to train the workforce in Indian corporations to understand what is that, basically to understand the basics of immigration. That is a rule that is first. Then the second one is just to make sure they understand what is that they need to do from their part to keep their employees compliant, and also to make sure that they know or they understand what are the best practices for global immigration. So it is not just teaching them how to do visas, and we're trying to teach them, okay, knowing the basics of the immigration, then how do you keep yourself organized? How do you make sure that your employees are compliant? So we're trying to share the best practices. There are certain corporations in India, even companies like Microsoft, Motorola, or any of these big companies that we have as a client, they have good processes already put in. So those processes are not there in many of the Indian IT companies in India. But there are some companies like, if you look at INSZoom, Survey Pro, and Quansys, Patni, they already have a great deal of process built in already in those companies. So we're basically, with that, again, we have helped some of these companies to basically put in those processes. So we're trying to spread that knowledge to other companies with their help. In fact, we basically call senior management Patni and as well as in Quansys to some of these conferences to share to the Indian IT industries and immigration community.
There's so much knowledge with you, Umesh, so many questions come up, but I would just restrict myself to just a little, two or three more. One, you are essentially as CEO of INSZoom, and through INSZoom are providing a supportive service to immigration attorneys or people who are in the field of immigration. But the kind of awareness campaign, if I use the word, you are doing, are you substituting immigration attorneys at some level to some extent?
We're not substituting. All we're doing is we're providing the technology to improve the best practices in a corporation. So we help, when we walk into a corporation, when we help them how to build their, keep themselves organized or configure the system to meet their business requirements. Along with that, we basically help them how they can work with the law firms. And so how they could use technology to enable them to work with the law firms more efficiently than the way I have been. So right now, to be able to get a visa done, it would probably take, if they do, no matter how quick, it is going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 days. If they have all the documents, everything, then with that we could reduce it drastically by 1 day or 2 days, just with the information through the web and the technology and the best practices.
And secondly, we have so much talk going on about outsourcing, and there are pro-outsourcing people and there are anti, and then they consider that the workforce based in USA is negatively affected by outsourcing. And outsourcing is like wind blowing from one point to another nowadays. So you just can't think about any other way. What do you feel about this outsourcing?
I think outsourcing has been happening in the United States probably for years, because in the 80s the manufacturing industry was moved to Far East countries, and I think now IT industry and the knowledge workforce is being moved to India. So it is no different than what has happened in the past. And along with that, I think whatever outsourcing is happening, it is still helping US economy, because US is best at coming with the new ideas and coming with the new products. Afterwards, it gets moved on to other part of the world, and US always comes up with new systems, new processes, like companies like Google or companies like Yahoo, they all are born in the United States. So that is, I think the US is best at coming up with the new ideas and marketing to the world. But when it becomes routine, I think it gets pushed to the other part of the world.
So in a way, you have a very high opinion about the creative fertility of United States, and innovative ideas are very much here. And let's quickly sum up our conversation by again remembering that you are one of the top 50 Asian business leaders. This year you were awarded. And who is the top personality or person who has been your role model, who has inspired you?
I think my role model has been Bill Gates, and I watched his success and read about him. I think he's a great role model for many of the techies.
And the top book that you have loved reading as a source of inspiration?
It is not the book that inspired me to do what I have done. I think it is mostly the movies that I talked about. One was PBS. They have a series on Revenge of the Nerds 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. They talk about all the Silicon Valley startups, how they started in the garage or in their home, and how they become a multi-million-dollar enterprise or billion-dollar enterprise. I think that gave me a lot of confidence, and which made me feel that yes, this is something I could do. And along with that, there is a movie called Pirates of the Silicon Valley. It talks about Bill Gates and Steve Jobs' growth during some late 70s and early 80s. I think it's a great movie. I think I watched it myself many times. I show it to our own employees of this movie whenever we have a company event. And I think that's what has most inspired me than any other books.
And before I let you go, allow me to ask you to share with my viewers, what is it that you consider as secret of success, something which anybody can apply in accordance with his or her own nature?
I think the secret for success is to be able to build a company or basically do something in your life. It requires a lot of determination, hard work, and the attitude to never give up. And it is very easy for anyone to just, you do something, you say, hey, it's not working, I want to give up. I think you need to have that determination that, hey, I'm going to make it happen, I'm going to make it happen. Then along with that, you have to be quick to scan what is happening around the world. The moment you start with an idea, in a year or 2 years, the market changes, and your clients' needs change, the technology changes. So when you're looking at all of this thing, you got to be able to look at all of this, make a decision, what is the best way to move forward that is going to make your company successful. I think that is the most key factors for success for any company, for any individual.
Thank you very much, Umesh Vaidyamath.
Thank you.
CEO, INSZoom, top 50 Asian business owner. My guess, and he leaves us with those ideas which we feel we already know, but we don't put them into practice. Who would deny hard work, determination, and then we think that maybe there is something else which is relevant. But he has proved that there are some universal principles which we need to apply to reach wherever we want to reach. And once again, thanking him for his presence and thanking all of you for joining us. This is Ashok Vyas saying Namaste.